geographic place community, your region, has replaced the corporation as the fundamental economic and social building block of our age. In a sense, our community leaders, our mayors, our chamber leaders, the people who run our civic organizations, all of us have become the CEOs and central management team of the most important economic organization of our time, the city, the community, the region. So it makes our jobs really hard. Now, why would I say something so bizarre? What does a corporation do? It pays wages and salaries, provides incomes, philanthropy, stocks and dividends, and performs and creates a wealth that all of us depend upon. But how does it do that? What a corporation does is take a human being and match that human being to a job to be done. A person to a job. In the great golden age of the corporation, in the age of, as my college girlfriend came home when she got her job with her T-shirt, I remember this one better than like us, GE is me. In the age when what's good for General Motors, complete the sentence, is good for the country. In an age when IBM stood for, not International Business Machines, I've been moved. In an age when people work for the companies for their life, or in Pittsburgh handed their job down to their kid, my father, from age 13 to age 65, age 13 to age 65, in the same company, that worked really well. A corporation had these people, and it deployed these people into jobs for the whole life, defined our lives. What's the average length of stay in a job for an American today? 3 years. What's the average length of stay in a job for an American under 30? My students. Less than 1 year. How do we match people to jobs? What was Carly Fiorina really telling the governors? What was that little Lyco story, moving from Pittsburgh to Boston? What was that really about? That was about the fact that place has become the economic organizing pool for the creative age. For a company, place provides a pool, a mixture, a grouping of sophisticated talent, creative, intellectual, knowledgeable, manageable, skillful people that it can pull upon and dip into to have the resource it needs, the people. For us, place provides a lot of opportunity. That's what the people in my interviews and focus groups said. We want to go to a place that offers us not a job. We want to go to a place that has lots of jobs because we're not stupid. We realize that the job that we get isn't going to last. We want to be in a place where we can, as they say in the San Francisco Bay Area, Silicon Valley, change our job without changing our parking space. We want to be able to have a life and change jobs and attach to opportunities as we need them, but not have to move our house. And I don't care if you're single or you're married. If you're single, you still got to uproot all of those friendships and community things that you do to establish life. And if you're married, you got to uproot your significant other and your kids. But we don't want to have to move around all the time. And if it's not a company moving us, we want to be in a place that we really want to be in. So place has become the basic economic organizing unit. Why else is place important? And here's where the book really digs deep and leads to some shocking, surprising, and sometimes ironic conclusions. What do people want in a place to live? Well, the first thing we got to know is that place in this age, where company has ceased to be the important identifier, where GE is no longer me, where we no longer identify so fully like my father did working for the same company for life, where we're no longer a U.S. Steel man or General Motors man or IBM man. You noticed the last word, by the way, sorry. That's what we used to call people. A company man, an organization man, a man in a gray flannel suit. Where that no longer holds, what provides our source of identity, our source of status? Well, let me submit that part of it is our profession and our professional activity. Part of it is other things, and part of us is the place we live. My personal story. Oh, when I went to Columbia University, I was at the top of the place pecking order, at least in my warped mind. For I did not live in New York City. I lived in a special part of New York City. I lived in, it might have been 123rd Street, but in my mind, it was Manhattan. And when I went on a plane and people asked me, they don't ask you what you do, they ask you where you live. Think about that for a minute. I said, I live in Manhattan, and I was so proud. I was at the top of the place pecking order. And when I moved and taught at Harvard and lived in little old rinky-dink Belmont, in a nice place, Belmont, I got on the plane. I didn't say I lived in Belmont. No, I didn't even say I lived in Cambridge. I said I lived in Boston. And as long as I wasn't in New York City, that worked pretty well. Well, I'll get on the plane later. Somebody's going to ask me where I live, and I'm going to say I teach at Carnegie Mellon. Pittsburgh's a great place. I've lived there for a long time. I've lived there longer than I lived in New York City. I love where I live. But still, there's something in this status mix that tells people that some places have higher status than others. Why else are places important? Why else do people make these decisions on where to live and work? How else do cities compete for harnessing this creative energy and become economic winners? Creative people have always required creative stimulation.